Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is breathing. Um, so when I was a classroom teacher, we worked a lot on deep breathing with children because it quite literally takes you from the reptilian part of your brain, which is the brainstem, into which is your reaction, where the place where you react. Your emotional state of being is in a freak out place, and move you into your prefrontal cortex, where your executive function can kick in, where decisions can be made. Now, if you are in a circumstance the way that I was, and I'm just going to describe to you what it looks like, or what it used to look like, it was an ongoing to-do list. And every morning I would wake up and I would hope that I would get to at least number 3 on my to-do list at some point in the morning. And the truth of it was, once I got there, I had phone calls waiting, I had parents waiting, I had someone call out unexpectedly, late, short notice. I had, breakfast or lunch that needed to get to the classroom or snack picked up. I had a situation with a particular child. Someone got sick, and in my case, we didn't have a nurse, so I was the nurse. And so it's like, it's this constant state of just trying to get through the day. And I remember so many times sitting at my desk at 2 o'clock going, I haven't even got to number 1, much less number 3 on my to-do list. We often are in this constant state of do. And unfortunately, what happens physiologically is we're pumping all this adrenaline, we're pumping our adrenal glands are getting shot. Sometimes it affects our health in terms of just general germs. Our immune system's sort of shut down if we are feeling overwhelmed or stressed. And I will tell you that, I worked in crisis circumstances. And so on top of just the day-to-day experiences I had, where we were reporting to CPS and we had to have the police involved, and we had a child that was telling us stories about sexual molestation. And so it's like going home each night hoping that your kids are going to be okay through the night. It was a very real experience for me. And so one of the things I had to learn is first off, I did the 80-20 model, and I'm going to talk about that more. I believe I shared with you already the 80-20 model, but I'm going to share it in the next segment. But I did the 80-20 model where 80% of my time was really with people. And it could be children, it could be the teachers, it could be the families, it could be connecting with my support group. My support group are the ones who kind of make the day happen. And for some of you, you don't have direct connection to the people who cook children's food. I did. My bus drivers were in my same building. Everybody was sort of housed in the same place that I was housed, and it was important for me to connect to everybody. And I wanted to be approachable, and I wanted for people to feel that I was not only their supervisor, but I was here to provide support to each and every person. And if I didn't know what to do or how to do it, because I don't know shit about buses, but if I didn't know how to do it, I would find somebody to provide the support that they needed. That was something that rests on my integrity. But what happens with that is that when you have that ongoing to-do list and you're running here and you're running there and you're trying to get everything done each day, is you end up running on empty. And so one of the things, and that's what kicks out, your response mechanisms. Your body is going to respond based on, your thought process. It's all based on your thought process. So it doesn't happen to you. It's not like all of these things are happening to you at once. It's how you perceive what's happening. That's key. So your perception of what is happening in the moment is what creates a physiological response. Does that make sense? So the fact that, a teacher walked out today with no notice, went to lunch and didn't show up, should come back, your perception to and your response to that is what is all within your control, is what I'm saying. It doesn't just happen and then we go into freak out and you're a victim of the situation, or you didn't have any power over what just happened. Even if you have an administrator, I see this happen all the time, and I wish I had a magic wand. It's never acceptable. It's never acceptable for an administrator, a boss person, a CEO, CFO, or whatever, to berate teachers or other middle management. yell at them, to berate them, to try to come from a place of, you all aren't doing what needs to get done, blah, 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 blah. But even in that circumstance, we get to choose in that given moment how to hear it, how to receive it, and how to feel about it. And so even if immediately it's overwhelming and, we become, pissed off, or we start to cry or whatever, it's like you still have the power to change your mind about what you think and feel about that. Okay. And so I had to remember that through the course of the day. I had to remember that I get to choose in any given moment how I think and how I feel about a situation. Now, I can choose to be sad, and I can choose to be frustrated, and I can choose to be overwhelmed. I can also choose to look at it as an opportunity for me to figure out what to do and how to do this. I can also choose not to take it personal. I can also choose to take responsibility for what part I play in that. So I get to choose in any given moment. And one of the things that helped me significantly was what I call the pause. When something happens, I had to practice the pause. And the pause moves you, if you are intentional about this, from that reactive state of being in your brainstem, that freaked out, I'm pissed off, I'm wanting, that fight or flight mechanism that just kicks off when something has happened, and move me into the part of my brain where I can actually make some rational decisions and to think it through. And even in that space, we can often create a story and attach it to a story. And, the key in a lot of decisions we make, sometimes that story is necessary, and sometimes we're just projecting our own frustrations and our own stories onto the situation without giving people a fair deal. And so, and I see it all the time. So I'm putting it out there because it is something that we often don't pay close attention to. So the pause is to learn to deep breathe, and you don't learn to deep breathe in the moment. Okay. I mean, it'll help you, but you don't learn the skill set of deep breathing in that moment. You learn the process of deep breathing when you are moving through the course of your day, and just the intentional practice of doing it on an ongoing basis. Because what happens when you get into that freak out place where you feel overwhelmed, where you are reacting, where you have to do something very quickly, and sometimes you're not thinking through very well, you're not going to go to the deep breathing. That's not going to be your go-to. Your go-to is going to be your old story. Your go-to is going to be whether it's to freak out outward. So you're going to say something, you're going to, just react in an outward sort of way. And for others, what they do is they shut down. Some people, it's like when something happens like that, they basically just shut it down. They turn off. And as much as you want them to go, they have completely frozen and checked out. They can't. They just can't. So, depending on who you are, and sometimes that looks like avoidance. Sometimes that looks like, it could crying. Running away. It could not coming to work the next day. It looks like a lot of different things. So the practice of deep breathing is starting with 3 deep belly breaths. And really the process of deep breathing is the art of learning how to not breathe from just the shallow breath here in your lungs, but you're actually inhaling through your nose the best you can. I have really bad sinus issues, so sometimes it's not as easy as I wish it was, but you inhale through your nose, and you want to fill your belly, your stomach. You want to fill it full of air. And what you do at that point is what I try to do is inhale to 5 or 7. Inhale as much as I possibly can, and then you hold it for 5 to 7. So this is and then let me explain the whole process. And then you breathe out as much as you possibly can, down to where you have absolutely nothing left. And then check yourself, okay? Where are you at right now? And then you're going to do it again. You're going to do it for a minimum of 3 cycles. And so this is kind of what it looks like. You want to put your hand on your stomach when you're first learning to do this, and you're going to inhale. And then I started counting in my head, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale. All the way out till there's nothing left. that practice, that breath of moving air in all the way to your stomach actually takes the breath into your brain, and it oxygenates your brain. It quite literally can help you move into your place in your brain where you can make rational decisions. And what happens if you feel lightheaded, or if you feel kind of like, whoa, what is that? That's oxygen getting to your brain. And so that practice, when I would get to my office, I would do that. And the moment I would walk out my office, I would take a couple deep breaths. Even walking into classrooms, I would take a couple deep breaths. And then just the more and more you practice it, the easier it becomes. And then it becomes habitual. And why that's important is because the habit is what's going to help you pull that in when you need it the most. Okay? So the practice of deep breathing is something that quite literally helped me from getting to my breaking point. Sometimes what happens is we get too stuck in our head. We get too stuck in that to-do list. We get too stuck in the self-judgment. We get too stuck in the performance piece of things. We get too stuck on what other people are going to say, or the evaluation of our work, or what we're not doing, or we get stuck there. And you can't be fully present for staff. You can't be fully present for children. And the parallel process is we do unto others as we want them to do unto others. So my gift to my staff is to be able to manage my own process, to be able to be the model of connection and the model of being able to balance within my own thought process, to prioritize the things that are important and to let go of the things that might not be important right now. This practice is hard if you are needing a gold star, or if you're wanting the approval from upper management, or it's really hard sometimes, because you're sometimes become afraid, if I let go of other things. And I'm not saying never to get them done. What I'm saying is that we have to learn to prioritize our time better, and we also have to put people first. And we also have to learn our own self-regulation skills, or develop our own self-regulation skills, so that we're not taking things personally and we're not reacting, that we're really coming from a place of our own integrity and responding in ways that are fair. Okay? So just something to think about is that deep breathing and that whole process of trying to kind of balance it all.